Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about language development, which is chapter 7 in our textbook. So, language development is so incredibly important because it really is the most significant feature of a child's early learning. It kind of sets the foundation for literacy development and it really is the basis of other language arts. So, it's important for children to hear the language that's being spoken around them or how other students or adults are using it in their everyday lives, and then they're going to be prompted and encouraged to use it as well. So, as we know, language kick starts at a very young age. For parents, they get so excited when their babies first start saying mama or dada because they're just so excited to hear their babies start to formulate their first word. And so, obviously, as children get older, that can build into more enhanced communication, talking, listening to others, and really just observing how other people may speak. So, language development can really be enhanced by verbal interactions, which are huge in everyday life, whether it be adults or even children, at young ages. But we can see students in preschools or in elementary schools, and they're always talking to their friends, and I just think it's so sweet. I know that I probably was the one in elementary school that was talking so much and got in trouble for talking too much with my friends, but I think verbal interactions are just so important to really build your social skills and build your language. Storytelling is very important, especially for younger children. Singing is great, books, games, all sorts of things to really just build this language development. Um, Something very important for parents and for teachers to know and to keep in mind is that every child is going to be at a different developmental age when it comes to language or a different developmental stage. And so teachers need to be aware of what they're dealing with, see what certain accommodations the student may need or what extra help they could benefit from. Because some students may be very talkative and they want to talk all the time, which is wonderful, but other students may be very reserved and kind of want to keep to themselves, and that's also completely okay. And so teachers just need to be very understanding and very respectful of how different students may communicate. So I kind of was able to read about the different ages and kind of what their milestones are and what skills they have. So to start at 1 year of age, they start to really imitate sounds and understand simple instructions that are given to them. Then moving on to 2 years, they form short sentences or phrases. They have a vocabulary of about 30 words and they can recognize familiar objects. At 3 years of age, they use words to really express certain needs that they may have. They can use plurals and past tense, and they are able to answer questions that kind of relate to experiences that they may have. For 4 years, they enjoy make believe. This could be playing house, playing family, playing cooks in the kitchen or something. And they really like to participate in group discussions. For 5 years, they use descriptive words, they kind of implement silly language, and they talk freely, but this is where they kind of start to interrupt each other and get other students in trouble. At 6 years, they're starting to take more language risks. They're able to tell connected stories and kind of ask more meaning about what certain words may mean. And then lastly, 7 years, they start to follow pretty complex directions. They have an active vocabulary of more than 10,000 words, and they are able to speak and articulate their words pretty well. So I would think that one of probably the most important thing in language development is imitation because students are going to say what they hear. Children are going to repeat what they hear. And so this is important because when these students practice their sounds, they're able to be corrected or say, you did that great or something. And so they're reinforced through feedback around them. And it kind of just is able to give them a glance of how other people are talking and seeing, like, oh, is this the same thing? Am I saying the same thing as them? Am I correct? Things like that. And then the textbook moves into grammar. So it talks about semantics and syntax. And so for semantics, it kind of is the meaning of words being directly correlated to experiences that children may have. So this just really explained that the more experiences a child has, the more likely they are to expand their vocabulary and understand the meaning of certain words. And it's important for adults, teachers, parents to exchange language and share consistent language with children so they can engage them in experiences like going to the park or going to the zoo, going to the pool, something like that, to provide labels for the words that these children may hear in these different settings. So then for syntax, it kind of talks about patterns and formations of words being so important. So when their students put symbols and sounds together, they create words that are understandable. So then going back to imitation, just to provide a quick example, children may say at a very young age, they may say, go park or me drink water. So we know what they're trying to say, but they obviously can't formulate the full sentence. So we're going to expand that phrase for them and really complete the sentence, resulting in like, do you want a drink of water? And then we ask, is this what you're trying to say? So imitation and expansion will eventually allow these kids to really process the speech that they're being exposed to, and that way they can really master the language and the forms of speech, how they're supposed to talk. Moving into ELL and ESL learners, it's very important for teachers to be able to teach these different children the differences between their native language and the standard elements of conversational and formal speech, so that way they can identify which contexts are appropriate and which may not be appropriate. And it's also extremely important for educators to work with these different learners, work with their families to help strengthen and encourage literacy practices at home, so that way they're not just working on it at school, but they're able to build these skills at home as well. So then just some ways to encourage language development. We really, as future educators, we want to model good, attentive listening. We want to ask our students stimulating questions. We may want to work with them one-on-one if they need some extra assistance, or allow them to work in a small group so that way they can communicate with students they're friends with or just students in their classroom to get different ideas on how others may communicate. We want to establish a very comfortable atmosphere where every student feels confident to be able to speak however they want to speak and just to share what's on their mind. We want to provide many opportunities for talking. We want to be very accepting of diversity in the classroom when it comes to individual language. And we really just want to encourage students to speak and complete thoughts and sentences to the best of their ability. So, for some listening skills, the book talked about really just perceiving and understanding what is being heard. And we can, or the children can, remember the sequence of sounds that they hear. They can recognize words that are rhyming words, things like that that they can catch on to in their brain. And then for speaking skills, we really want children to be surrounded in a verbal rich environment so that way they can learn from those around them. Um, as educators, we want to provide explicit instruction with very clear directions to provide, thought provoking questions also for our students and for them to understand what we're saying. But the thought provoking questions can really just allow these students to brainstorm and then share. So, for example, even in college we do it, but we do the icebreaker questions where we get a beach ball and there's questions written on it. We throw it around the room, whatever our thumb lands on, that's the question we answer. And so students could do this too, so that way everybody has an opportunity to share what they may be thinking, which is awesome. We can also do show and tell, storytelling, things like that are very, very beneficial for students. And yeah, so for language development, we really just want to advocate for a very comfortable environment full of opportunities for a student to speak. And so that way they can listen to others as well. And as educators, we want to be able to model appropriate listening strategies and appropriate language for our students to be set up for success.